Indiana in the Morning. Joining us this morning is Marshall Chriswell with Marshall Law. And we remind you that this radio program is intended to be for informational purposes only. This information does not constitute legal advice. The law is constantly changing, and the information may not be complete or correct depending on the date and your particular legal problem. Each legal problem depends on its individual facts, and different jurisdictions have different laws and regulations. Because of these differences, you should not act or rely on any information in this segment without seeking the advice of a competent attorney licensed to practice law in your jurisdiction for your particular program. Marshall, good morning.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
How's your summer been so far?
It's been great, and man, what a nice run of weather we're having right now.
We hope that it will stick around, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, on the program this morning, let's spend some time on the topic of divorce. And I guess one of the big questions when people decide that they will have a divorce, can they get a legal separation in the state of Pennsylvania? Yeah,
you and I were just talking about that a little bit. And I have, the folks that listen to this show know that I handle a lot of estates and estate planning and real estate transactions. In addition to that, I have a really significant healthy divorce practice. And, that's one of the questions that I get more than anything whenever I'm talking with or meeting with a potential new client that is, going through marital difficulties. Is they say, okay, well, I need to get a legal separation, or can I get a legal separation? And in what I have to tell them is, in Pennsylvania, we don't recognize legal separations. There's no statutory or case law that specifically recognizes a legal separation. In many other states, whenever parties are separating, in order to procedurally begin the process towards a divorce, you have to get a court order saying that you're legally separated. Here in Pennsylvania, we don't do that. So that's something that is a misconception, and it illustrates the differences between state law, for law from state to state, and also, not believing everything you read on the internet.
Is that what people refer to as no-fault divorce?
No-fault divorce is different than that. In Pennsylvania, we do have, as of the divorce amendments of the year 1980, we have no-fault divorce in Pennsylvania, and that's 99.9% of the divorces that are filed in Pennsylvania are a no-fault divorce. Prior to that, you had to have what we called fault grounds for divorce, meaning that your spouse either had to abuse you or abandon you or indignify you. That you had to prove that your spouse did something wrong in order to get a divorce. But now, under modern divorce law, you can get a divorce without one spouse being at fault, and the ways that you can do that really are twofold. Either the two of you can agree that the two spouses can come to an agreement and say, okay, we're going to get a divorce, we're going to sign the papers, and the court can enter a divorce decree. Or if one spouse either won't agree or won't cooperate, after 1 year from your date of separation, papers can be filed to obtain a divorce decree. So that's what we call a 3301D divorce, named after the code section, and that is where we were talking about separation. Your date of separation is very important, but it's not a judicially determined date.
We've heard the statistic down through the years that about 50% of marriages will end in divorce. Is that the number that you come across?
I don't know what the number is right now. What I know is that the research and the statistics that I have read over the past decade show that the number of divorces are actually declining. And I don't know. The social scientists have all sorts of theories as to why that is, but divorce rates are actually declining.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. But of course, lots of people still, for many reasons, do obtain divorces, and if you do so, it's important, like we've talked about before, to start kind of thinking and planning for that, when you know, all right, things are maybe going downhill, or I think my spouse is going to leave me, you really want to get an idea of what your legal rights are. Have a consultation with an attorney, even if it goes no further than that. Maybe you and your spouse end up reconciling and there's not an issue. But it's important to, from the beginning, understand what your legal rights are and what may be lying ahead.
Local attorney Marshall Chriswell with us this morning here on Indiana in the Morning. There are times when we hear items that make the news where it's not marital divorce that is being talked about, where it's actually children saying they want a divorce from their parents. Is that legal?
Emancipation. Yeah, that's true. That's a whole other topic. A minor that in Pennsylvania is over 16, I think it is. It can become emancipated, get a judicial decree emancipating them from their parents, but they have to show. You can't just get in a fight with mom or dad one weekend and they say, okay, well, you stayed out too late and you're grounded, and you say, all right, well, I'm going to go get emancipated. That's not going to work. You have to present. You're going to hire an attorney. You're going to present a petition showing why either it's not in your best interest to stay with mom and dad. That you have to demonstrate that you have a plan to provide for yourself. That you're not going to become a ward of the state and go on, social programs and things like that. That you've got a plan, and that you are an independent young man or woman who'd like to live on their own.
Have you ever had to work on any of those cases?
I have not had an emancipation case, and they are very rare. They really are. It's part of Pennsylvania law, though.
Mm-hmm. Marshall, some other areas where your law office can help out the person who might be listening this morning.
Well, like I said, I have the divorce, child custody, and child support practice that really I have a lot of experience in that area. And so any of those issues, whether it's all of those wrapped into one case or just a child custody or a child support issue, I'd encourage you to reach out to an attorney. You've got to understand, like I said, from the beginning, what your rights are, what your responsibilities are, and what's lying ahead. So it's those cases really. Although when I first started practicing law, I thought, man, those are going to be the toughest cases, the most emotionally fraught, and the things that I maybe don't want to get involved with. But as my practice has developed, I have found that doing that kind of work and helping people through what is sure to be the most difficult time of their life is hugely rewarding when you can, obtain results and help carry somebody through that process. So, but yeah, that's the area that I kind of wanted to focus on there.
And we've also talked with your appearances here on Indiana in the Morning about estates and estate planning, something that you're very familiar with. Oh, absolutely, yeah. And that's something we've talked about a lot. This is so it's August. August is National Make a Will Month. There you go.
So, it's something that everybody needs to think about it. You're never too old. You're never too young. You're never too rich. Never too poor to have an estate plan. Everybody needs to be planning for the future. I deal with too many situations where family members come in to see me and say, we just lost mom or dad or an aunt or an uncle. Or even, a mother, or a young mother or father that didn't do the planning. And here is everything we could find in their desk at home. And where do we go from here? What do we do? And there's no will. There's no final instructions. And the family is left with a mess. All of that can be avoided really with taking some simple steps to create an estate plan.
It's not a long, drawn-out process to put the will together, is it?
It's not, and it's not hard to get started. That's something that I want to stress to people. If you don't have an estate plan, you don't have a will, you don't have a financial power of attorney, a healthcare power of attorney, a living will, child guardianship provisions, all those kinds of things, you don't need to, I think people get paralyzed by thinking, well, I don't have enough information to go see a lawyer yet, so I'm going to wait. I don't have enough documentation gathered up. I need to get all these account statements, and I need social security numbers and addresses and dates of birth. You don't need any of that. Call. My estate planning consultations are always free. Come in, walk in, don't bring anything. We'll talk about it. If I need more information, I'll tell you exactly what I need.
And at the other end, if it's been a good number of years since you put your will together, you might want to make some changes.
Yeah. There are lots of reasons why you may want to change an estate plan. A big one is change in family, right? New children, new grandchildren, marriages, divorces, death, starting a business, dissolving a business. All sorts of reasons why you may want to revisit your estate plan. What I tell my clients is, even if none of that stuff has happened, give me a call once every 3 years. Let's just have a phone conversation. Let me pull out your file. Let's look at it. I'm not going to charge you for that phone call. If we think that things need to be changed, maybe there have been changes in the law. There can be all sorts of reasons. Let's have a conversation about it once every 3 years.
A lot of times over the years, you acquire more assets. Maybe you have some property or real estate that wasn't there when you first put that will together. Absolutely.
And so we really, whenever I do an estate planning consultation, I'm going to sit and we're going through, all of the assets that you have, and any change in that, changes in your net worth, changes in the nature, the type of assets that you own, debts that you incur, all of those things can affect your estate plan.
Marshall, a closing item that you'd like to have the listeners know about this morning?
Well, I think that, the idea that it's National Make a Will Month, if anybody didn't hear that, that's a good, you can make a will in any month, right. But this is a good reminder that wills, trusts, power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney, living wills are all so important and really can save a lot of heartache for the ones that you leave behind.
You have a website information on it, telephone numbers that people can use?
Phone number is 724-465-5826. And our office is here downtown Indiana in the Atrium Building, and you can always reach me online at www.westernpalawyer.com.
Marshall Chriswell, that's Chriswell's Law, here on the Voice of Indiana County, WCCS AM 1160 and 101.1.